Good morning. This is Titania, and I am about to do a reading here on June 5th, 2020, on the topic of order. Welcome to everyone who's here today. We're just going to take a moment, gather our energies, ground ourselves, take a few deep breaths, and set the intention for this gathering. I invite you to just ground yourself in whatever way you're most familiar, and if you don't have a grounding practice, just perhaps see a tree root growing down from the base of your spine, the soles of your feet, going down deep into the earth and anchoring you into our beautiful mother planet. Knowing that this channel is also a way to easily and effortlessly move anything that no longer serves you down into the earth, act as compost for new growth. Creator, this is your daughter, Titania, and I am here and willing to do the work that you ask me to do, to be a clearing for the information that is most needed and wanted right now. I set my intention to be a clear channel for that information and to provide it in a manner that is easy and effortless to hear, understand, and integrate for the highest and greatest benefit of anyone who is on this call and anyone who is listening in the future. I invite my higher self and the higher selves of all those who are present and listening in the future to be here to facilitate this exchange and ensure that it happens in the highest and best way possible for the highest and greatest good of all concerned. I also invite an overlighting angel of communication to facilitate this exchange so that I'm using language that everyone will hear, understand, and integrate, that this goes smoothly, and that we hit all the things and answer all the questions that are in your hearts and minds at this time. We set the tone for ease, for upliftment, for joy, for celebration, for clarity, for wisdom, for healing, for empowerment, both for ourselves, for those whose lives we touch, and for the planet collectively. I'd like to invite the four archangels to come and hold the four directions around us, creating a sacred space of clarity, wisdom, of healing, of groundedness, of peace, of love and light. I invite Raphael to hold the east, Michael to hold the south, Gabriel to hold the west, and Uriel to hold the north. Thank you for coming now and being here with us, wherever we may be in time and space. So this reading is about love and light, about all that is in our hearts and minds at this time. We're exploring the theme of order. And again, anything else that is in your hearts and minds at this time. Anything that isn't matching the frequencies of the intention that we have set is welcome to go now. Okay. So we're exploring the theme of order. We all know there's a lot going on right now in the world, and it can feel really chaotic when we look out at the world, especially the media, because the media certainly doesn't seem to want us to be comfortable or reassured. So we're exploring this idea of order, how to hold that space in ourselves, and just generally understanding it. I'm curious. My guides gave me the theme, and I'm curious to see what wants to come through. Okay. So on the theme of order, we're going to do the past, present, future, and then a foundation card. What's grounding it? Why are we looking at this subject right now? So the past card that we will start with is craftsmanship. It's the Eight of Pentacles. Pentacles have to do with material things, usually. And craftsmanship, if we think about a craftsperson, there's somebody who takes a long time to develop their skill set. And as a result, they are able to create magnificent things, but it's a very intentional process. So this is sitting in the recent past, and our topic, of course, is order. the influence of the past is waning, but it continues into the present and into the future. But there's this idea of craftsmanship around the idea of order. And order, as I'm sure others on this call understand or have appreciated or experienced in their lives, so often when we put our exterior world in order, there comes a sense of clarity and a sense of peace from that ordering of our space. And the same thing can be said within us. When we come at life from a grounded, centered place, there's a resilience when we face what we experience in the world. And so what this speaks to me is that order is not necessarily something that just comes, although some of us perhaps have tendencies towards it more than others, but this idea of craftsmanship, of this idea of building order, of crafting order, of deliberately spending time and energy and intention in bringing order to ourselves, to our lives, to our way of looking at the world. So that's the recent past. The present is the Hierophant. Another name for it is the inner teacher. This is a major arcana. They are pay attention cards when they show up in a reading. They have to do with our soul growth, our evolution cards. And in the present environment, we have, as I said, the Hierophant, which is about learning to go within and listening to the wisdom that we hold within us, that our connection to the source of life, which is within all of us. And this is sitting in our present environment. So it's interesting, this reminder to go to that place, to pull on that wisdom within us, to ground in that space in the face of what's going on in the world, to keep ourselves in a good and resilient place in terms of our experience. It's interesting. Yeah. I mean, in other decks, he's called the Pope. So there can be associations with spiritual lineage here as well, spiritual traditions, but not so much the outside or the exoteric expressions of that, but this idea of what is really true and what is at the foundation of most spiritual traditions. The imparting of wisdom and the holding of methods for acquiring wisdom and for being grounded in wisdom. So there's energy around that as well. These traditions that we have from our spiritual practices as well, and how we can draw on those. And, it's never too late to start a spiritual practice. A spiritual practice can be as simple as setting aside time every day, 10, 15 minutes, and sitting quietly with the intention of connecting to the wiser aspect of ourselves. And that's where it starts, and you'll be led from there. Near future, we have possessiveness. And that's interesting too. So the Four of Pentacles, again, card of materialism, or material things, earth element, sorry, I shouldn't say material things. It's not just earth element, but it's this, if you look at the card, she's holding on to her belongings and looking around furtively to make sure nobody's going to take them away from her. This is sort of holding energy. And it's interesting, I've been meditating on the idea of order, and another word for it could be control. And this feels, the energy of this card feels like a form of control, a form of holding on. It could be the form of ordering, but it's based on fear, not on what is authentic or true, or what we hold, what we know is authentic within us. So this card it's interesting. There's this craftsmanship element, the sort of building of a practice or building of an ordering in our lives. There's this reminder to go within, to ground ourselves in something greater than ourselves, to ground ourselves the wisdom of the inner teacher. And then in the future, we have this possessiveness. And to me, this speaks to, it's sort of an awareness or a warning, this grasping, holding kind of quality. Sometimes we do that. Things, when life changes, we hold on. We become freaked out by the change. And so we hold on to what's familiar, and we really try to keep things from changing because that's safe. That's what we know. It's what's familiar. And to me, this is sort of the energy that I'm feeling in this near future, is this suggestion, or this awareness that we soften, that we open up, that we recognize that the world has to change. I think we've all seen aspects of that. There's so much that needs to be addressed and cared for and loved and brought to a new and different level. And holding on to what was won't help us to expand into that new possibility space, that new future. And it's going to require all of us to be resilient and to be ordered within ourselves. This isn't an ordering from the outside in. So like a what do they call that? Again, this idea of not from the outside in ordering, but creating a world of order from the inside out, from within us, when we are clear and in balance and grounded and coming from love and kindness within ourselves. The world that we interact with and the world that we help to co-create is motivated by that energy, as opposed to putting rules and regulations and laws in force and cracking down and trying to dominate and oppress. That's the old paradigm. That's the old energy, and that really needs to change. And yet there'll be, of course, resistance. It is changing already. The paradigm is changing already. We're just seeing incredible flare-ups of that old way of doing and being. But this is a reminder that our wisdom comes from this deeper place, and that we can change not only our perception of the outer world by working on our inner world, but also we can change how it actually manifests by going to that deeper place, by going to that place of heartfelt kindness, love, resilience, openness, willingness to be shown what is possible, willingness to try something new, willingness to co-create in a good way with others who are also ordered, who are also congruent and aligned in their hearts. So that's sort of the general gist, the sense that I get of this topic of order in the world that we're standing in right now. What we're experiencing is this reminder right here in the now. And this also speaks to me of stay in the now. Don't get pulled off your center. Don't. And I think that's one of the challenges with our media, is that it's not supporting us. It's staying grounded and centered and in our heart place of goodness and kindness and love. It's seeking to pull us into fear, worry. It's designed to trigger us. I guess that's how they get their views, so that's why they do it. But in our now, we have to stay in our now. We have to stay in our world. We have to stay in what is true and authentic and real, and come at the world from that grounded place. So the foundation card that we're here right now, that's here, is understanding this more deeply, right? So again, okay, so illusion, which makes tremendous sense in terms of what we've just been talking about, in terms of the messages that we're receiving, the messages that are incoming, that are you see, the angel in this card, she's overwhelmed. These hearts are in her field, and she's overwhelmed by them. It's sort of knocking, again, she's not, this sort of feeling of being knocked off center by something that isn't necessarily even true or real. And so it really, how do we know what's true and real? Well, on the larger world stage, I mean, is the media reliable? It's hard to know. There are so many agendas at play. So if you are going to watch or be engaged with that kind of material, it's always recognizing that it may be true or it may not be, and adopting a neutral stance. But my belief, or what I'm coming to from this, is this idea that if we are grounded in our hearts, in our love, in our openness, and our willingness to be centers and clearings for love and light on the planet, we'll know what's appropriate for us. We'll know what's true, And we'll give our attention and energy, or we'll learn to choose to give our attention and energy to those things that do bring more light and love to the planet, rather than allowing ourselves to be distracted by illusion, by things that may simply be part of a story or a narrative that wants to continue to do its thing. Does this make sense? Does anybody want to jump in here? Do you have any thoughts or requests for clarity? Or do you feel complete with this then? No, I'm just wondering, are you guys able to? And I guess you muted yourself, so. Hi, Julie. Okay. I think you have to unmute yourself. There we go.
There. Okay.
Thank you.
Sorry, I had to wait you.
Not a problem.
So that should sort of knock me off for a second. Hold on. So it seems to me that the Four of Pentacles, the control portion, and the illusion sort of is something about it's all an illusion maybe, and you choose what you want from it. So I would love to have some more clarity with the Fourth of Pentacles.
Okay, so can you formulate what it is that you're wanting to know from it, or?
Well, so this is about the future and possessiveness, and what else did you say? But also you have to soften it, you know, be resilient with this control. And so, I mean, it just seems that the two cards with the illusion card and this card are all about being earthbound rather than sort of realizing our spiritual element as well.
Right.
And so I would like to sort of have this is what we can be eluded by. The illusion is we're earthbound, and that's the illusion, right? So is there I don't know how to word it. It's kind of like, what is our best option for writing that out?
Okay. So it's okay. What do we need to know about becoming more resilient with this energy, would you say, or is it just more clarity about it? We'll go with what we need to know. What is it that we need to know right now about this? And you know what, I'll put a card on both of them and we'll see what comes for those. Okay, so we'll start with possessiveness and the Four of Pentacles, which is sort of this belief in materiality and three-dimensionality, and that you have to hold on and control what's here, and you know, that sort of state of not getting maybe that there's something more to life. Oh, okay, so we have the Nine of Swords, this idea of nightmare. And that, you know, the nightmare card is interesting because when you have a nightmare, when you're in it, you really think that it's real, that it's true, and you're having that experience. But when you wake up, you realize that it was just a dream. And yes, it was, seems so real in the moment and was distressing in the moment, but when you wake up, and the relief that comes from the awakening and the recognizing that it is a dream. And, you know, as you say, Julie, you know, talking about this and this sort of, when we can be multidimensional about this, or we can be three-dimensional about this, about our life right now and about what we're experiencing on the planet right now. And I think it's easy because the collective on the planet is still pretty three-dimensional. It's still pretty much stuck in the world that you can access with your senses, and believing that is all there is. And that, to me, is the nightmare that we need to wake up from. This idea that we're separate, that that's all there is, and we're being governed by people who seem to be on that level rather than governed by people who see the bigger picture and who hold a larger vision, an understanding of how we can come together and support each other and help each other to be more than we were, and where we can be kindness and love and help each other and distribute resources wisely and steward the land, the earth, in harmony. There's sort of this it's like the final throes of an old paradigm that's really too small to contain the energy that is coming out on the planet at this time. Humanity, it's like we've been kept down in terms of our capacity to be as broad and as shiny as we are able to be, to coexist with each other, to coexist with this planet, to bring our gifts forward and truly make a difference in a beautiful way, in a way that moves our heart and allows others to do the same thing. I think this is the core vision, anyway, that I'm inspired by, and I know others are inspired by, and I really believe that we're on the threshold of this. And the society and the culture that we're existing in, or this paradigm that's sort of playing out, which, you know, by the way, our media is very three-dimensional. Like it's part of this story of that's all there is, folks. And so this idea of the nightmare of breaking free of this old this holding control pattern, we need to wake up, we need to change. And so those of us who are already on our journey, those of us who have already committed to our path, who are cultivating and crafting our opening hearts, who are crafting and cultivating open-hearted relationships with others and community, and walking gently on the earth and doing all those things that we know in our hearts are appropriate and right, to live in a way that is congruent inside and out. Collectively, this is going to be playing out. This is what's playing out already. And people who are stuck in that three-dimensional space are suffering because they don't necessarily understand that there is more, that there is a higher, wiser purpose and plan in place. And so part of this order, it's interesting to think about it this way, but part of this order is not only for us who are committed to our path, committed to our journey, committed to being of service, to be ordered within us, to keep ourselves grounded and centered, to practice our practices, to be to the best of our abilities in every moment a beacon of love and light and hope, not only to our families, but whoever it is that we connect with on the planet. You know, setting the intention to see and affirm and evoke the highest and best in everyone that we connect with. It's a call for us to help hold the energy for what we know is coming, for what will help soften this and make this easier for those who are, perhaps, as I said, in that three-dimensional consciousness. You know, it's the more, you know, many teachers have said that it only takes a very small percentage of the population to shift the collective. And it only takes a very small percentage to, you know, to change things. And we've seen moments in time in our history when things have changed dramatically. The Berlin Wall coming down, for instance, you know, to me that is it was such a symbol and seemed like such a permanent thing, and then overnight it was gone. And I think that the place that we're standing on the planet is something similar. These symbols of what was, and oppression and control and domination and the things that weren't working, exploitation of the planet, of its people, racism, all of this stuff. That's very three-dimensional, and it's going, but it's kicking up a fuss before it goes. So staying mindful of that as that drama is unfolding, stay grounded, stay in your practice. When you feel yourself getting knocked off your center, recognize that's going to happen. I mean, we're part of the collective. But if we are truly a craftsperson, if we are truly a clearing for that deeper wisdom, it's just remembering in the moment that we are more than this. And it's our job to be peaceful, to be centered, and be grounded as a gift to the rest, to create that space and that clearing and that light and that love, because we're all connected, and how we choose to be is going to impact everything. So for those who are stuck in the drama and playing out the drama and you know, trying to control and trying to, you know, play out the agenda, or whatever it is, and maybe that's just a narrative, but whatever it is, this agenda, or this story of humanity, it's playing out, it's unfolding perfectly, and it's an opportunity for us to stand in our power, to stand in our grace, to stand in our wisdom, and remember that we're light workers. We're here to serve love. We're here to serve the light. We're here to serve something greater. And it's a choice. In every moment, it's a choice. And again, as I said, when we start to get caught up in the illusion and this idea of what might be, you know, this little story comes in and it freaks us out, or this happens and it's scary and it's upsetting. Come back to your center, come back to your grounding. We can't be of service if we're off our centers. You know, then we're just being run from the outside in rather than the inside out. And it's just important to realize that, to be kind to ourselves and recognize it's going to happen, but also to be deliberate when we do recognize that we're in that place, to go, okay, deep breath, unplugging, moving on. You know, where can I give my attention right now to create more love, to create more light, to create more peace on the planet right now? And that can be, you know, taking yourself out for a walk, taking 3 deep breaths, you know, having a glass of water. Break the pattern when you recognize you're in it. That's a discipline. That's part of craftsmanship. That's part of what it means to be a holder of the light on the planet at this time. So we're looking for clarity around the illusion card. And here it is. It's this idea of generosity. To give generously of our intention, our life force, our energy, to be willing to be that generous space holder for the light. So this idea that the foundation is why we're having the reading. It's this idea of illusion and being caught up in the illusion and believing the illusion, and recognizing that we don't have to do that, that we can stay grounded, we can stay centered, and we can hold on to our vision for something greater, our vision for this beautiful planet that we know in our hearts is possible. And how we'll get there is this energy of generosity, this energy of giving freely. And again, it's you know, recognizing that even though we're, most of us, still at home isolating, this state of generosity, this state of willingness to be a holder of light and to flow it freely, can happen for us at home as well as anyone who's out mingling in the world. We are just as potent in our corners of the universe as somebody on the front lines doing their part. Recognizing that our commitment to being a clearing for space, for light, for peace, for light, and for love, because we are all connected as humanity, we are all one, impacts everybody everywhere. So it's important work to be this clearing. Does that help, Julie? Does that feel more complete to everybody? Does anybody want to ask a question? Oh, you guys can't unmute. Okay. There we go. I had the wrong thing clicked. I'm so sorry.
Not at all. That was awesome. How much clarity did we get there? That was just so good. I mean, what did you say that I liked best? It's when we were talking about that's all there is, folks. That's the illusion. That's all there is, and this is sort of really potent time to. We've done this before, doing it again, and it's calmed down before, but it hasn't changed that much. And this will hopefully, you know, all forces are in now. So
well, yeah. Well, it's just the thing to be aware of, though, is that this drama is going to play out for a while. You know, this is sitting in our future for a little while. So, you know, I guess
Do you have a feeling of timeline for that? Or like, we talking months, or we're probably talking years actually?
Well, I think the transformation collectively is going to take years, but I think the intensity that we're living through, what's coming to me, and as I said, I don't usually do predictions, but the energy of this feels like 6 months of intensity on the world stage. This does not mean that you will have intensity in your immediate day-to-day life. That's really important to distinguish. It means that the energies that are struggling are going to be doing their thing for a period of time as they resolve, as they push through, as they do what they need to do to clear things up, to bring things to the surface, to move things off so that we have greater awareness and clarity and healing around the iniquities and the injustices and all of those things that are on the planet right now. That's what this speaks to me. This is a collective reading. And the important part for us to remember is that we continue as individuals. And how are we choosing to continue? And this is the piece about the order. This is the piece about how are we going to continue to exist in our own world, in our corner of our collective experience. And are we going to be contributing to this chaos, three-dimensional confusion, or are we going to be contributing our internal order to the collective? So this important piece about being in a state of order within us, and that another word for that is congruence, peace, staying grounded in your heart, staying loving and kind. And all of that is the same thing. And you know what? For some of us, it might help if we do massive house cleaning. I've seen that with a number of people as they've gone through this crisis, is this ordering that they've put in their external world to help them feel more at ease with what's happening on the outer world. And for some of us, that's really helpful. But coming back to this idea of what are we contributing to the collective? Are we contributing our personal order, our personal love, our personal peace, our personal well-being to soothe and ease this transition?
I'd just like to observe two things. First of all, the first card, which of craftsmanship, because we were talking about world issues to start with, and I think we were all thinking politics south of the border in some way, shape, or form. What came to me with that one was there was a constitution that was crafted by people over the past couple of centuries. And I was surprised that there wasn't a card that said it's being ripped apart, but I suppose that's what's on the other side. But that was one of the cards that spoke to me of the craftsmanship of order that has been developed for a country that is now starting to be in disarray. And I'll just leave that. But the other thing that I've really observed, that if we look at these cards, this reading, it also talks about the pandemic. And I just think our own Dr. Henry seems to be grounded in the present. She seems to, how often have we heard, be calm, be kind, be safe? Like, it just seems to me that she's teaching on a day-to-day basis this groundedness and trying to manage panic. They're also trying to manage that we will not try to retain our old way of life, that we need to do some major changes in order to be safe. Anyways, and of course, the cards speak to order within self as well.
That's great, Joyce. I really love what you've just said here, because as you're saying, that calling to order, that calling to staying, that here we have a public official who's really holding space for that, creating a clearing for that. And we've heard that here in British Columbia, we've been so fortunate and we're doing so well. And we think of the power of a quality leader like that, holding those energies, that understanding of being of service to the community and doing it so well, and offering that clearing of groundedness and order and a way forward is such a brilliant illustration in a way of this concept of order for us right now. And again, the microcosm, the macrocosm, how do we act as clearings for that in our own lives and continue to be that in the world, regardless of the fireworks and the circus that's out there. You know, this coming back to it. And you know, I and also this sense that I get to, you mentioned the Constitution of the United States, which is a remarkable document, and it was, you know, I don't think all is lost there. I think that foundation is still there. It's still a blueprint for order. It's still a very, very powerful anchoring influence. I don't think that all is lost. I do think that the energy of control and the energies of control, the energies of oppression, the energies of profiting from others' misfortune, that is what needs to go right now. And that when that time is done, or when this is done, this is still there to turn to. That idea of the principles and the energy that's held in that Constitution will still serve to lead back to order, will still serve to lead to a new way of coming together as a community, as a country. But there is such a level of things that need to be cleaned up, and that just has to happen. You know, there's just no way around it. That has to be gone through. And so as we observe that going on in the world, what piece are we bringing? So thank you for that. That's really, really great insight and contribution.
What was interesting about that also for me was that the idea that you know, people follow along, and there's been this Constitution which is written by people ages ago, and re-choosing it, redeciding who you are, not just, so it's an internalization of that order, because that's an external order. And I feel like once you choose it again and make it your own,
Yeah,
it's about that creating internal order. That's it.
you know, that's a really interesting point, Julie, about it being an outside in rather than an inside out expression. You know, and I think that's, again, this idea of creating order from the inside out, from within us outward, not expecting somebody else to necessarily provide that, although, as you say, you see a good leader. But it's up to us, it's part of this craftsmanship as humanity to become the best that we can be, to be ordered within us, to strive to be the best that we are, and to again bring that to the world rather than being reactive and at the effect of and letting the outside dictate who we are and how we're being.
Sort of an embodiment of the very thing they think they are. But sometimes I think, and it's like a breath of fresh air, because re-embodying who they are allows them to re-choose, and then the inspiration that seems to come from that idea is just, it really gives me goosebumps, actually.
Awesome. Good. Yeah, the choosing. It's such a powerful time for us right now. I mean, it really, really is. What are we choosing in every moment? Yeah. Does anyone else want to jump in, have any other thoughts, or want to say something? We feel complete with this? Okay, so I think it's 11:45. So what I'd love to do is just pull a card for each person on the call around the energy. You know, what do you need to know most about this idea of order in your own experience right now? Always with the understanding that what's going on for us is going on for others, and the wisdom and clarity that we gain may be just what they're looking for too. Holding the intention that this will provide what is needed and wanted to anyone who is listening in. Okay, so let's start with Linda. What do we need to know? Is that all right, Linda? Are you okay with that question? Does that work for you?
Yeah, I'm just trying to figure out, maybe you can come back to me, because I still have to sort of formulate a question.
Okay.
Yeah, come back to me.
Okay. Joyce, are you up for it? You ready to be next?
Sure.
Okay. And does that suit you, addressing the question of order for you right now, what you need to know about it?
Absolutely.
This is a wonderful card. This card of success. So it's the 10 of Hearts. It's the end of the pip cards in the heart suit, which is emotions. And so it's a celebration of, Joyce, what I'm getting is this acknowledgement of who you are inherently, and the celebration of who you are and what you're holding in the world, and keep going, keep being that light, that spirit, that holder of these energies. Like what I love about this card is it's like this community of people who are gathered and are celebrating together. This again, this coming together and celebrating, and part of, I think we've seen in other readings this idea of really celebrating our successes, really celebrating and acknowledging and being appreciative and grateful for the things that are going well in our lives, and giving attention to that as the energies that we're wanting to build. Where attention goes, energy flows. And so we can give our attention to things that aren't working, or we can give our attention to things that are, knowing that that takes us further along the line of what does work and will inspire us to do other, perhaps in the other areas of our lives, to be more successful in those areas and more in alignment. It's this idea of motivating through inspiration rather than motivating through pain and suffering. It's a very different quality. And from where I stand, I really believe that these are the qualities we're needing to bring forward on the planet at this time, is this deep appreciation for the life that we celebrate and we enjoy here on this planet, and celebrating with each other our successes, celebrating the good that we are experiencing and contributing, and acknowledging each other for the good that we're doing as well. So this is the quality, this is the energy around this exploration of order for you, and what you need to know about it right now in your life is to celebrate all the good that you're holding within you and within your family and your community, and continue this, and be that person who really acknowledges those around you and celebrates with them. Because again, this is powerful momentum. This enthusiasm and kindness and mutual support is really, really part of what will take us forward into the world that we're longing for in our hearts. Does this speak to you, Joyce?
It really does, because during times like this, it's easy to get sucked down into the negative. So that's very helpful. It's perfect. Thanks.
Great.
Okay, so I do have a question now.
Okay, Linda.
You're ready. Okay, so I love the idea of order. I think it's something that I always strive for. And with this pandemic, I'm looking at my table right now, and there's piles of paper that I'm just finishing organizing now, and so many things have fallen into place since I've been stuck at home, because I have the time and the focus to create more order, and my family as well. We are on more of a schedule, and things are flowing so much easier because there's so much less distractions and no one's running off every day, and it's wonderful and beautiful. But I do have that fear of when the world opens up, that how can we maintain that order in our lives, because there'll be so many things coming at us. So you've touched upon it a little bit, but maybe, for me, you can.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what do you need to know right now about maintaining this order, having this continuing this way of being that you're appreciating so deeply?
Mm-hmm.
Yes?
Yes,
Okay.
exactly. Thank you.
Oh. Did you get this last time? Okay, so maybe not. The Fool. The Fool is the very first card of the major arcana. And as I said before, major arcanas are pay attention cards. They're the cards that really indicate our soul growth, our path forward, etc. The Fool So the energy of the Fool is like waking up on the first day of summer holidays with the whole summer ahead of you, the whole day ahead of you, nothing on your plate. This is the quality of the Fool. It's this being open to possibilities, being open to the adventure, being open to the energy of life, really. And so it's interesting because what I'm getting from this, because we're talking about order, and order takes intention and energy, and really the energy of the Fool is about just stepping away from that. It's about opening up to this. So why are you pulling this card? It's I think what I'm getting from this is this idea of trusting, because the Fool is all about trust. In some decks you see him, it looks like he's about to step off the cliff, but there's just this stepping out into the world on a journey of life and trusting that all will be well, that you will be carried, that you will have what you need when you need it. And again, being heart open, trusting the grace of the Creator, and really committing to the journey, and really being open to having this wonderful life experience. Again, this idea of celebration, this idea of taking time to look around and be in wonder at the beauty of life and all that surrounds us. So it's interesting, because I hear your question is, how am I going to deal with the distractions? How, when things start to happen again? First of all, I think, we need to remember that things are going to happen kind of slowly. I think we're already seeing that. It's things are changing, and activity is starting to happen more, and things are starting to go back into place, but it's not racing back into place. So as you as a family are reemerging into life, you get to choose. It's important to stay clear about what you'd like to see for your family too, right? I mean, maybe your kids are ready to race off and be full throttle again. But I think it's the cultivating the space in your heart that you've found over this time, and bringing it forward with you, so that no matter what you encounter in life, you are coming from that resilient, trusting place of meeting life where it's coming at you from, but at the same time holding that space to be present in your life. Does that make sense, Linda?
It does. I mean, I guess there's a little bit of that, just letting go.
Yeah.
Right. We're also, we're in our little world, and we're holding on tight to it. So I guess it's a warning that I'm gonna have to let go again, go back into life.
Well, but it's not so much that just chucking yourself in the stream to be carried willy-nilly. I mean, there's a certain amount of that sort of I guess that freedom of expression, or being prepared, just stepping out into life and letting life carry you. But it really has a lot to do with your intention in your heart as you go forward.
Mm-hmm.
So sometimes we grab control, and we want order, and we want schedules, because it reassures us, it helps us to feel more comfortable in life, and it's understandable, that's great. But there's also this co-creative dance that we have with life. What are we holding in our hearts, and trusting that life will meet us from that set point that we're holding in our hearts.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
It's helpful. Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So become aware of, maybe spend some time reflecting on the pieces that are important to you, the pieces that you want to carry forward. Again, maybe it's a vision board, something to that effect, that will help you to remember and ground you, so that when you do start to feel a little bit discombobulated, you can look at it or remind yourself, whether it's a quote or a picture or something that helps you to anchor the energy that you want to bring forward into your life moving forward.
Awesome.
Yeah?
Yes, I love the vision board.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Emily, you are next. And are you good with doing the same? Just asking about pulling a card for order in your experience.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you.
Okay. You too have gotten a major arcana. So it's the card of the moon. And the story in this one is that a little girl, you can see here, she's lost in the night, but she's with her dog, and it's very dark and she's very afraid. But the moon is shining brightly and leading her to a safe place, taking her to where she'll be taken care of and find security and well-being. So the moon, there's different cards of different symbols and that sort of thing, but this card is about another meaning for it is evolution, is this growing forward, this becoming more than we were, despite the darkness, recognizing that the dark and the light are part of the same thing, and that even when we're in the dark, even when we're in the depth of the darkness of our lives, or things seem dark, there is always going to be light. There's always going to be support. We just have to look around for it. Sometimes we forget we get caught up in our way of being, and we forget to look around and to see and to expect the help and the support that we need. So it's interesting. So with you and this idea of order, what is this telling us around order for you and what you need to know right now? And it's, the sense that I get is to trust and to keep going and to look for the assistance that you're needing in terms of bringing order. The other piece that feels is coming up at the same time is just this feeling too about, if you don't know what to do, it's not time to do anything. And I think that came up in our last reading, and this is wanting to be said here with your cards too, that you're maybe just needing to stay in this place for now, trusting that the answers will come. And even though it maybe feels uncomfortable, knowing that you are being led to where you need to be to have what it is that you're asking for in your heart. Trusting the process, trusting the unfolding. Does this make sense to you, Emily?
Yes, that's amazing. I feel a bit teary, to be honest, because there is something right now that's big, and it's been bothering me of like, how do I deal with this? How do I deal with this? And there is this little voice in the back of my head saying, just wait, it'll be okay, just wait. Nothing has to be done right now. And so it's hard because it's almost that avoiding and not dealing with it right now, but it doesn't feel safe. Like you say about safety, it doesn't feel safe to deal with it right now. So yeah, it fits perfectly.
Good.
My current situation. Very reassuring, I would say.
I'm glad.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just stay, listen to that voice. You know what you need to do, and when it's time, the light will be there and you will be led to what you need to do, and to just trust. I mean, there's so much upheaval energy right now. It's really difficult to make big plans or make decisions. And again, I really feel that we'll all be, when it's time for us to make those decisions, we'll know those answers will be there, and asking for that help and trusting that it will be there when we need it. Definitely, for sure.
And it's interesting, I think today's a full moon, isn't it?
It must be. So I didn't check, but it's just certainly getting very full.
I think today's a full moon, today or yesterday, and so interesting. Yeah.
Right. You get the moon card.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
My pleasure. All right, Leah, it is your turn. Are you okay with that question? Just asking for a card about order for yourself?
Absolutely. Thank you.
My pleasure. There we go. You're getting the same message or a similar message, this idea of go forth and trust, go forth with enthusiasm, go forth knowing that it's going to be great. It's going to be this amazing adventure. It's going to be rich and inspiring, and this energy of being open and trusting and taking one step at a time, and celebrating the journey, celebrating the experience. It's very much this this freedom in the heart, this freedom in your spirit, and really, I don't know, this is such a, it's funny. I just love how the cards come up, and even though they mean the same thing, there's slight differences between people when they come up. But in your case, the energy that I'm getting is this sort of go boldly, with an open heart into the world, and look for the adventure and the celebration, and enjoy it, savor it, have fun with it. Does this speak to where you are right now, or would you like more clarity?
No, that speaks pretty loudly to me. I've been pretty grounded, and teaching a lot online. So I've been sharing from my heart space with a lot of beautiful people, and I just feel like during these times there's so much to offer.
Yes.
And there is a certain amount of excitement and openness to that. However, at the same time, there is a part of me also that shares with Linda about just the wondering about how it's going to be. Will there be overwhelm? But it sounds like with things moving slow, that it'll all just kind of unfold as it's meant to. And I'm willing to stay open, so that feels really good to me.
Beautiful, because that is definitely the message I'm getting, is that stay open, and the work that you're doing is wonderful. And I think too that it's easy for us to think about life going forward in terms of what it was. But I think it's also really important that we remember that things are changing. Things have changed, and it's going to be different. And we don't know what that difference looks like. And so being in a little bit more of an open, resilient, receptive place, and again, what is it that we want to hold in our hearts going forward? And it sounds like the work that you're doing and the open sharing that you're doing and is really feeding you and nourishing you and others. And so trusting that enthusiasm, trusting that you're being led by your heart towards what you're needing to contribute, and you know, and whatever happens, you will adjust and adapt and be fine, because that's what's true, is you know, we will be fine. We are taken care of, and we are adjustable and adaptable if we stay in our heart, our open-hearted space. Yeah, it's wonderful. It's a wonderful energy.
Yeah, it is. Thank you.
Thank you. That's so fun. Okay, Julie.
Hello, that's me.
Are you good with that question?
Of course, that sounds cool.
Okay. Message for you, illusion.
Oh, we're laughing too much.
Oh, you're gonna love it. So yeah, just where are you giving your attention? Where are you giving your energy? Is it real? Is it authentic? Is it what you want? Is it, you know, this, you know, your emotions getting stirred up? Are they being stirred in the direction you really want your emotions to be stirred up in? And so being mindful about how you're feeding yourself in body, mind, and spirit, and really being perhaps a little bit more deliberate in that, and allowing yourself to be, again, just more ordered, more congruent. You know, there are the values that you hold, and how are you holding them in your life on a day-to-day basis? And are you taking things in that are knocking you off your power and your center and your vision and your capacity? So does that feel helpful?
Well, I guess when I looked at it, I thought 7 of hearts. You know, 7 is a lucky number.
Yeah.
So 7 hearts, you know, it feels like this idea of having a lot on your mind, a lot of emotion on my mind, and trying to figure it out, and sort of this it's the illusion that it has weight for me,
Yes.
where it actually has possibility. It has, it has gifts within it. And the illusion is the weight. And that is the thing for me. Absolutely. Maybe.
Nice. I like that reframe. So that definitely, that feeling of again, that trusting of something bigger and broader, and what are you going to give your attention to? Feeding your enthusiasm, feeding your joy, your celebration, and allowing the heaviness, as you say, to fall away. Again, like, it's interesting. We can't suffer enough to bring any relief to anybody else. So it's really important, and sometimes it feels weird. I'm just speaking collectively here, this idea of that maybe it feels weird to be happy or celebrating or feeling good when there's so much stuff that's going on the planet that doesn't feel that way. And it's really important for us to remember that our joy, our celebration, our well-being is a positive contribution, helping others to shift from the heaviness of where they are. It's all connected, and it's all super important, and allowing ourselves the space to appreciate our lives and appreciate each other and appreciate the wonderful distinctions and beauties of our world and our experience is so important right now. That's like precious work right there. So that feels like it's part of your message too, this idea of transcending the illusion, the heaviness, the weightiness, and celebrating the life and the light. And I keep coming back in my own life to the idea that we're small in our human bodies, and we have a certain window and perception and filters that we look at things through. And I find it very comforting to think about there being something broader, wiser, bigger than I am, that's got all this. It's got it. And so my job is to manage my little corner of the universe, my little piece of experience, and to be the best that I can be in that corner. Because I can't resolve the issues of the planet. I can't resolve, that's a big thing. It's a collective thing. It's more than me. But what I can do, and what does feel doable, and what does feel powerful, is to be in my life, loving and honoring and celebrating the people that are in my world, and being clearing for the best that I can be, and for love and light in all that I undertake. Okay, I'm going to pull one last card for all of us, and then it'll be the end of the reading. So, going forward, what can we do here? And this idea of, this is the card of, the name of the card is Force, it's Ace of Swords, the first card of the air and a suit, which is ideas and action. And so in this case, this isn't force as in I run around with a big sword and I whack at people. It's the subtle application of your mind and your ideas and taking action in a way that is constructive and orderly. There's that word. So when this card often comes up, the image that often comes with it for me is the idea of pruning. When you have a tree, a small shrub that's been left to go, and it needs to be pruned for the health of the bush, you put it in order. You cut out the dead, diseased, crossing bushes. You apply your intellect, your mind, you look at the tree, you distinguish what the problems are, and you prune away the excess to create air circulation and light, and cut away the things that no longer serve the tree, the dead, diseased branches, to support the better growth of that tree. It's this idea of applied intention to create order and well-being. And so it's interesting as a parting thought for all of us going out into this week, this idea of pruning our thoughts, pruning our lives, pruning our hearts, our emotions, giving ourselves permission to order those parts of our lives in a way that is intentional and deliberate, loving, kind, and for our highest and greatest good, which we know in turn is for the collective highest and greatest good. So there's our little ordered message as we're heading out into the week to be prepared to do some judicious pruning on our lives within ourselves. Thank you, everyone. I just set the intention as we close the reading. Thank you, Creator, for this opportunity to do this work, to be of service, to be of support. I ask for love and light and peace, clarity and wisdom for everyone on the call and everyone listening to this call, that you grant them whatever is in their hearts and minds at this time, that they may be resilient and happy and confident, knowing that life is unfolding perfectly, that we are all being taken care of, that even though there may be things out there that are happening that are really intense, that we are all loved, we are all taken care of, and that it is all working out for the higher and greater good of everyone concerned. I ask for, again, reassurance and light and love to everyone listening on this call. May we stay the course, may we stay ordered in our centers and within ourselves, and make order of the world outside from our place of groundedness and love and light and trust and peace. The reading is at an end. Thank you, everyone, for being on the call today.